New construction commissioning. The end goal is defined in writing. How many people have been involved in a project where the owner would come in every day and change their mind about something? Whether that be the color of the molding, the color of the cabinets, the color of the carpeting. Oh, by the way, you remember the budget I gave you for that high-performance hydronic system, you know, with the 4-valve system and all this and that? Well, the wife has decided that she wants to have the higher-end crown molding, so we're cutting your budget, and we're going to go with forced air because it's cheaper. Okay, now that's just a residence. Imagine a commercial building. Imagine the 72-story Pearl River project. One little change here ends up being monumentous on the other end. So what you've got to do is get it in writing, because once you have something in writing, it's less easy for someone's mind to be changed. Okay? Also, it forces them to focus on what you really want. It's a good thing. Work is done right the first time, because everybody understands that this is going to be checked, and they know what level it has to be evolved to, and the craftsmanship actually improves during commission projects. Okay, every person is responsible for quality. Every person is responsible for quality. And that is not only because they're involved in a commissioning project, but because they've been involved in the charrettes and the planning from the beginning. They feel more involved. When you get buy-in during the commissioning meetings, you get involvement, and people have a better sense of pride in their work. Okay? It's one of those side dynamics of commissioning. Work is verified, not just inspected. Now, the code officials will come in and inspect it, but during the commissioning program, we have the contractors develop checklists where they say, this is how I'm going to test these systems. And we'll talk a minute about sampling. It's not 100% check, okay? On large buildings, it would drive you insane to do 100% check. So we're going to do sampling. We'll explain that in a minute. But it is verified that it is actually working according to your desires. The focus on the life of the facility, not just the first day of occupancy. Remember, we're not taking a snapshot. We're looking at the larger picture. Okay, the new construction commissioning process. The planning, design, construction, turnover, and operation. These are all separate steps. And the planning part of it is when we sit down and we put down what our objectives are. Design is when we go out for, these are the basis of design. I go out and I get a hold of Bill's people and I say, okay, this is what my dream is. You tell me how you're going to acquire the equipment, the technology to fulfill my dream. Then we have the actual construction. Then we have turnover, okay? I hand the keys to the building owner over here, and then part of that turnover is training your people so it continues to function as it should. And these are all things that we would normally do in a good construction process, but commissioning formalizes it. Okay, this is a graphic of the commissioning process from the University of Wisconsin. I borrowed it from one of their classes, but it gives you an idea on the phases and what things happen during those phases, okay? As you see, it's an ongoing timeline, and everything has its position. Okay, now, you have to have a goal, and if you don't know where you're going to wind up someplace else. Now, part of commissioning is attention to detail. What's wrong with this picture? That's Yogi Bear, not Yogi Berra, okay? When we do commissioning process, we actually send out our stuff to be reviewed by peers, to have a second set of eyes, to catch the Yogi Bears instead of letting them go through. And actually, when the owner wants Yogi Berra there, this guy in the bear suit doesn't show up, okay? Now, owner's project requirements. It's called OPR. That's step number one. That's the owner sitting there at the coffee shop with a napkin telling you what he wants. It gets more formalized than that, but for conceptual purposes, think of an OPR that way. It's also known as the design project intent, and the first thing you do when you start the commissioning process, regardless of where you're invited in. Now, do commissioning professionals always get invited in the beginning? No. Sometimes people go old school on us, and they invite us in when everything's built and say, okay, commission it. Break the champagne bottle on the bow or the corner of the building. No, that's okay. First thing we got to do is sit down and find out what you want the building to do. That's the OPR. Verifying the OPR is the whole point of commissioning, making sure that John gets the building that he originally asked me for. Okay. Allows the owner to define what they mean in their own terms. That's nice. Tell me what you want. Give me your shopping list. And keeps the owner on track. You talked about it. You've been involved in a project that they changed their mind. Did you ever go outside and just grit your teeth and grab the steering wheel a little bit tighter than you normally do? And it keeps the owner's staff on point, because sometimes the owner's staff is shiny thing, shiny thing, shiny thing, shiny thing, and you end up losing them because they're all over the place, and you're sitting there trying to stay on timeline. Okay? The commissioning plan is a document prepared by the commissioning professional. CX is shorthand for commission. CXP, I'm using, for the sake of this conversation, as commissioning professional. You'll find out in a little bit that there's also commissioning agent, commissioning authority. Okay, there's different names for the guy that's doing your commissioning. The commissioning plan does the organization, schedule, allocation of resources, and documentation requirements on the commissioning process. Now, documentation requirements may also be from the manufacturer, maybe from the contractor, maybe from the facilities management people. How are these buildings going to be used? What's the timeline? What's the process requirements? Things like that. Okay? It's all good information that you need to be proper about this whole thing. Okay, basis of design. Again, once we have the OPR, then we go out and do a BOD. And I say, hey, Bill, this is what I want. Tell me how you're going to accomplish that. I want to have a system efficiency on my hot water to be, what was it, 95 was the high end that we saw earlier today? 95, something like that? I want that. I saw it at IAPMO conference. I want that. I want that. You tell me how you're going to do that for me. And he comes back and he says, based on the basis of design, I, as your technical person, suggest that we do it this way. And we write the basis of design and we put it out for bids. Okay, in his particular case, you do design and build, right? Okay, maybe that wasn't the greatest example, but you get the drift. That's a practical approach to it. Okay, solving problems. You don't solve problems by drywalling over them. As you see here, they are bound to reveal themselves in time. There was an improperly installed seal, got black mold behind it, and now we have a real problem. So you have to solve the problems up front. Object of sampling. Remember I said we're not going to do a 100% test, especially on large commercial buildings? Can you imagine as a contractor how long it would take you to do 100% testing? And you're providing the checklist to the commissioning professional saying this is how I'm going to validate my equipment to your standard, to your OPR. You don't do 100%. You do a sufficient number to catch the problems. What's a sufficient number? Well, the owner or owner's representative is going to have to make that recommendation. They may look at you and go, well, how many? Well, 10. This is a non-critical system. Why don't we say 10 out of 10%? Okay? So 3 out of 10 are bad. What do? Test another 10. 0 bad, probably okay. 3 more bad, then you test another 10, or the owner may say, we got a problem. We're going to test every one of these, and the contractor isn't getting paid until I have 100% assurance that these doggone things work.